You ever have that feeling where your brain just seems to have, I don't know, a mind of its own?
Hmm.
Like, you know exactly what you should be doing, maybe what you even want to achieve,
Right.
but you find yourself doing the complete opposite, like maybe putting off that big project or just scrolling endlessly when you meant to go for a run.
Oh, absolutely. Or starting strong on a new habit, full of enthusiasm, and then poof, it just sort of fizzles out.
Yeah, fizzles is the perfect word. It's this really common human thing, isn't it?
It really is. And we tend to just slap a label on it like, oh, I'm being irrational, or I
Yeah,
just lack willpower.
right. Willpower, the magic bullet.
Exactly. But, it's usually more complex than that. Saying it's just willpower is a bit like, well, saying a car won't start because it's being stubborn. There are reasons, mechanisms underneath.
Okay, yeah, I like that analogy. And that's what we want to unpack today, right? This gap between our intentions and our actions. We're talking about, delaying important stuff, habits that vanish, maybe doing things we kind of wish we wouldn't, even just struggling to roll out of bed sometimes.
I think pretty much everyone listening can probably relate to at least one of those.
I'd imagine so.
And the idea here isn't to judge any of this, not at all. It's more about um, getting curious about why. Why do these contradictions happen inside us?
Okay, let's dive in then. One of the first ideas that, well, that really clicks for me is this distinction. Sometimes we don't actually want the action, we just want the result.
That's a huge piece of the puzzle.
Like, take Jim from our research notes. He wants to pass his American Lit class, right? Clear goal.
Yep.
But does he want to spend hours staring at a blank page, wrestling with an 8-page paper?
Probably not his idea of a fun Tuesday night.
Exactly. He wants the good grade, the past class, not this struggle itself. And psychologists talk about this, don't they? This focus on how we feel right now.
They do. It's often called present bias, or thinking about the immediate affect. How is this action going to make me feel in this moment versus maybe some reward way off in the future?
Or think about Anne-Marie wanting to be fit. The idea of being fit, healthy, that's appealing.
Sure, the end result is great.
But the actual act of dragging yourself to the gym after a long day, especially when that initial motivation wears off,
Hmm.
that can feel very, very different.
Completely different. Our brain is doing this constant sort of emotional calculation. There's the potential discomfort or effort of the task itself,
Mhm.
which kind of triggers our avoid this
Mm-hmm.
system. But then there's also the anxiety about not doing it and negative consequences down the line.
And whichever feeling shouts loudest in the moment often wins out.
Often, yes.
Yeah.
At least initially.
Okay, so that distinction, action versus result, that explains a lot. It's like, okay, I see why I procrastinate on my taxes now. I want them done, but ugh.
Right. It makes things feel less baffling.
But hang on. If we know the result is something we genuinely desire, Jim wants to graduate, Anne-Marie wants better health, why is the action still such a monumental struggle sometimes? Why can't the desire for the result just override the unpleasantness of the task?
Well, that's the core conflict, isn't it? It's this psychological battle that happens before we even start.
Okay.
Think about Jem again facing that blank screen. Just the thought of the effort, the difficulty, maybe hitting writer's block that has an emotional weight, a negative feeling attached.
Yeah, the dread.
Exactly, the dread.
Mm.
But the thought of failing the class that also carries weight, stress, anxiety, disappointment.
So it's feelings about the future action versus feelings about the future consequences.
Precisely. And what's really fascinating is how these prospective feelings, these anticipated emotions, are pulling us in different directions before we've even typed a word.
It's like our brains running mini simulations. If I do this, I'll feel X. If I don't do this, I'll feel Y. And it's constantly comparing those feelings.
Now, contrast that with someone like Jung Seo, who's already deep into his video game.
Okay. Different situation.
Right. Here, the action itself, playing the game, is providing immediate pleasure, engagement.
It feels good now.
Exactly. The desired result of stopping, maybe getting more sleep or studying or whatever, that's still a future thing. It feels less real, less powerful than the fun he's having right this second.
So even if he has a nagging thought like, I should really stop soon.
Yeah, those thoughts might pop up, but the immediate reward of the game just kind of shouts them down. The present enjoyment is very compelling.
Okay, so anticipating negative feelings stops us from starting things we should do, and experiencing positive feelings keeps us doing things maybe we shouldn't be doing, or at least not for so long.
That's a good way to put it. The present feeling often has an outsized influence.
Which brings us to what actually breaks the spell, what gets us moving or stopping.
Often, it's those concrete future events starting to feel much closer, much more real.
Like Jim's deadline. Suddenly, it's not just a far-off date, it's tomorrow.
Right. The consequences become immediate. The anxiety about failing tomorrow might finally outweigh the dread of writing now.
Or Jinseo remembering he's supposed to meet his friends.
Exactly. That's a specific time, a social commitment. The desire not to let his friends down, or the anticipation of seeing them, becomes stronger than the pull of the game in that moment.
We've all felt that last-minute panic or motivation, haven't we? The deadline effect.
Absolutely. It's like the future consequence suddenly gets teleported into the present, demanding attention.
It's interesting, too, how basic physical needs can cut through everything, like Junseo stopping because he's genuinely hungry.
Yeah, strong physiological signals like hunger or, extreme tiredness, they have a way of overriding whatever else we're focused on. They create a powerful immediate need that demands action.
So immediate needs or future consequences that suddenly feel immediate part, those are strong motivators.
Definitely key factors in shifting behavior. But there's one more piece we need to talk about. And that's the sheer effort involved in just starting, or stopping for that matter, the activation energy.
Ah, yes, the barrier to entry, like Chris wanting to play basketball. He likes basketball, right?
Mm-hmm. Enjoys it, knows it's good for him.
But the court is a 30-minute walk away. And just the thought of that walk,
That initial step, yeah.
it can feel like climbing a mountain, even if the activity itself is something you want to do. That initial hurdle can just completely deflate the intention.
It really can.
Mm-hmm.
We underestimate the psychological weight of those first steps.
Yeah.
Like there's this invisible friction you have to overcome just to get going.
It makes you wonder how many good ideas or intentions just stall right there at the starting line because of that friction.
And it applies to stopping things too, as you said. Think about mindlessly scrolling social media.
Yeah.
You know you should stop.
Yeah. 5 more minutes.
Right. But the effort required to physically put the phone down, break that pattern, resist the urge to pick it back up, find something else to do, that takes mental energy too.
So breaking inertia, whether starting or stopping, requires its own kind of effort.
It absolutely does.
Okay, so let's try and recap these, psychological components we've identified. There's the activity itself, how we feel about actually doing it.
Right. The immediate experience.
Then there are the consequences. The results, good or bad, usually further down the line.
The future outcomes, yeah.
And finally, this activation energy, the effort needed to just start the thing or the effort needed to stop doing something else.
Exactly. Those three elements.
Yeah.
The act, the result, and the effort of transition.
And the core issue is that these three things can be and often are in conflict.
That's the crux of it. You might want the result, plus, but hate the act, and find starting hard, or love the act, plus know the results are bad, and find stopping hard.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Seeing it laid out like that, it really reframes those moments of frustration, doesn't it? It's not just being weak or irrational.
No, it's a complex interplay of these different psychological forces, these different anticipated feelings and efforts.
This definitely gives us a better handle on what might be going on when our actions don't line up with what we say we want.
It's a really valuable framework, I think. But of course, understanding these parts is one thing.
Uh-oh, I sense a butt coming.
Well, it just opens the door to the next level, doesn't it? Like,
yeah.
How does the brain actually process these conflicts? What are the mental mechanisms at play when we're making these choices, moment by moment?
Ah, so going deeper into the actual thought process. Then.
Exactly. And understanding that might give us clues about how to navigate these conflicts more effectively. Maybe find practical ways to bridge that gap between intention and action.
Which sounds incredibly useful and probably something we can explore more in the future.
I think so.
So for now, the big takeaway is this complex dance between how we feel about doing something, what we expect the outcome to be, and how much effort it takes just to get the ball rolling or to stop it.
Mm-hmm. It's rarely just one single thing driving our behavior.
Definitely something to think about. Maybe as you're listening, think about a goal you're grappling with right now.
Yeah, that's a great exercise.
Consider, what are the actual steps to start? How do you really feel about those steps, not just the end goal? And how strong is that vision of the outcome?
And think about that activation energy. What's the hurdle to just beginning? Seeing it broken down into these parts.
Yeah.
It might just offer a slightly different perspective on why you're stuck or what you might need to adjust.
A much richer picture than just I want to or I don't want to. Food for thought, for sure.
Definitely. There's always more to uncover about why we do the things we do.